Good evening, everyone. We'll kick off. So my name is Bryce O'Hara. I'm the team leader of talent management and workforce planning here at QPRC. And we're really excited to talk with you all tonight about our cadet apprentice and trainee program. So effectively what tonight is all about. So you'll hear about all of our cadet apprentice and trainee opportunities and the program itself. You'll hear what does QPRC actually do, because a lot of people don't realise the breadth and the diversity operationally of what we do in local government. We'll talk over some of the benefits that QPRC has to offer. You'll get the opportunity to hear from some of the hiring managers of the cadet apprentice and trainee positions that we have advertised currently. We'll also go over some testimonials from previous cadet apprentice and trainees and what their experience was like. And finally, I'll touch on some tips for applying for these opportunities, because I appreciate many of you may have never applied for a job before, or regardless, applying for a job can be pretty daunting. So hopefully by the end of this webinar, you'll have a greater understanding of the cadet apprentice and trainee opportunities that we do have, and feeling motivated, hopefully, to put an application in for those. Just some housekeeping things. So this session is recorded, just for those that weren't able to attend. So you'll be receiving a link to the recorded version of this webinar afterwards. Other housekeeping things, so everyone is muted. So if you do have a question during the webinar, feel free to put a question in the Q&A box down below. If not, you can save your questions for the end. So if you do have a question during the actual running, during the course of the webinar, Joey and my team will be answering questions where he can, and if he can't, he'll take it on notice and we'll circle back to it. For the best experience, I recommend changing your view settings, just so you can see the slide that's happening at the moment, while spotlighting whoever's speaking. Hoping to have this wrapped up by around 7:30. Before 7:30, we'll have a Q&A, as I mentioned, with the hiring managers at the end. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what we're looking at tonight. Before we kick on, I'll just give you a brief overview of what our cadet apprentice and trainee opportunities are all about. So long story short, in the current employment market that we've got what we refer to as a war for talent. Employers are looking for the best of the best. I know that when I came out of school, there was a degree of expectation that when you finish up, CIT or TAFE and get your Cert 3 or Cert 4, or you finish up uni and get your bachelor's degree, that there was a guaranteed job at the end of that. In today's employment market, that's not necessarily always the case. And employers like myself, we're looking for two really key things. So that is the qualification, to whether that be Cert 3, Cert 4, or a bachelor's degree, depending on the job. And we're looking for that professional experience on top of that. And the really exciting thing that these cadet apprentice and trainee positions offer is the best of both worlds. So it's really your opportunity to earn and learn. So basically, whilst if you are found suitable for one of these positions, we will pay 100% of course fees, whether it be through a university, TAFE, CIT, or another RTO. We'll pay for all of the qualifications associated with that, so you won't be out of pocket. And on top of that, you'll get really valuable on-the-ground industry experience, which can be hard to come by at an entry level, all whilst getting paid, which is really exciting. And basically what we end up with at the end of a cadet apprentice or traineeship is a really employable individual, because they've got that dual package that employers like myself look for, with the industry experience and a qualification on top of that. I'd just like to reiterate that these positions are advertised currently. They're all on our QPRC careers page, so feel free to check them out. And if you're feeling confident, feel free to put an application in. You'll hear a bit more about the specifics of the Cadet Apprentice and Trainee program a little bit later from our Learning and Development team leader, Kate MacWilliam. But for now, we'll proceed onwards. Okie doke. If I could just get a change of slide there. All right. Before we go any further, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we're gathering on today. For me, I'm currently based in Queanbeyan, so that's the Ngunnawal and Wiradjuri people, and we extend that respect to any lands that you may be joining us from that may be outside of Queanbeyan-Palerang, and we pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Okie doke. So a lot of people don't actually realise what local government is. We go to a lot of careers expos and things like that, and we talk to a lot of students, whether it be at the university level or the high school level. And there's a real gap in knowledge about just the depth of work that a local government organisation does. So I just wanted to quickly give you an overview of that. So basically, of the three levels of government, we work at the local level, which in my view works closest with the community. So everything that we do is embedded to serve our local community. So we govern the region of Queanbeyan-Palerang, Braidwood, and surrounding regions. It's actually a landmass that's bigger than the ACT, so we've got a lot of ground to cover with a huge diversity operationally in what we do as well. The reason that I've stuck around and the reason why so many people here at this council have stuck around is because we find it tends to be really rewarding work. I mean, for my own case, it's the opportunity to give back to a community that I'm passionate about and really see the output of my work almost instantaneously within that community. Whereas sometimes the higher up the chain that you go, whether it be through state and federal, you don't necessarily get to see that output really quickly. Whereas you can walk down the street to get a coffee, and there you go, there's the output of something that you've contributed to, which is really nice. So broadly, we're made up of around 600 staff, and that includes full-time, part-time, and casual, and about 11 councillors as well. Okie doke. So basically, this gives you a rundown of operationally what we do, and it can be categorized into four main areas. So the first one being infrastructure services. So that's probably the one that you'd be most familiar with. It's the bread and butter of any local government organisation. So that involves road construction and maintenance, and you'll hear a bit more about that later. Water and sewer, waste, civil engineering, so on, so on. There's also our Development and Environment Directorate as well. So that looks after town planning, building surveying, environmental health. You might have had exposure to this previously, whether you've been building a house, building a shed, putting a development application in, biosecurity weeds, all that kind of thing as well, and planning out the future in terms of natural landscapes and the built environment of the Queanbeyan-Palerang region as well. Corporate services as well, that's where my team sits within, so human resources. So this is effectively the area that supports other areas within council to keep that going. So there's obviously people services associated with HR, WHS, asset planning, finance, IT, so on, so on. And then lastly, the Community Arts and Recreation Directorate typically works closest with the community, and that includes libraries, parks and gardens, community development, customer service, family daycare, and so on from there. So as you can see by this slide, there is a lot that we have to offer. And obviously what comes with that is that we employ a lot of different industries to keep those services functioning really well. And with most of these areas that we do employ, they've got cadet, apprentice and traineeship opportunities within those, many of which we've got advertised currently, which is really exciting. So if you don't see an opportunity that's listed here that may not be up just yet, feel free to subscribe to our job alerts, and future opportunities and cadet, apprentice or traineeships may come out into the future. So as I mentioned before, we've got a lot of ground to cover. We're bigger than the ACT. And we've got around 600 staff that work across that region. So we're split up across 3 administrative offices and depots across Braidwood, Bungendore and Queanbeyan. So there's a real diversity there in terms of where you could be working out of. We've got 3 libraries as well, with a 4th on the way, 4 pools, I should say, with a 5th on the way. 6 waste transfer stations, 9 water and sewage treatment plants, 12 cemeteries, and 3 culture and arts facilities, including our Q Theatre located in Queanbeyan. There's also opportunities where operationally possible for home-based work as well. Alrighty. There's a whole catalogue of benefits that QPRC offer that really set us aside or make us stand out from other employers within our local region. I mean, so the first one that's listed there is free parking, which can be hard to come by these days. So anywhere in Queanbeyan-Palerang, in terms of a car park that's publicly owned, you won't have to pay for parking, which I'm sure is really attractive to those that may already work in Canberra and have to pay for parking on a daily basis. Where operationally possible, as I mentioned before, we'll consider flexible work arrangements, whether that's working from home, a condensed work week. I myself, I work a 9-day fortnight with inclusion of an RDO. So I basically get a long weekend every 2 weeks, which is really good. Generous leave entitlements as well. We've recently expanded our health and wellbeing program to offer more discounts at local gyms. So I myself, I take advantage of a pretty heavily discounted rate at a local gym, and there's plenty to choose from as well for whatever lifestyle that you live. We also have novated leasing options, if that's something that takes your fancy. We've got a whole myriad, a huge catalogue of professional development and training opportunities offered at council, whether that be in-house training or something that we outsource. We're definitely never short of learning and development opportunities. There's plenty that goes around in that space, whether it's, traffic control, business writing, customer service skills, professional development, all that kind of thing. Council also has a social club as well, where employees can meet with other employees and do, last week they were doing something like go-karting. I think they've done archery in the past. So every so often they do activities to sort of get to know your peers. The last one that I'm most excited to talk about, because it's a relatively new benefit that we have to offer, is our QE rewards program. So it's basically an app that you can get on your phone or you can use it on your PC. It allows our staff to get access to 600 plus discounts or instant cash back at 600 plus retailers in Australia, which is really exciting. I think since this app launched, I haven't paid full price for just about anything. And that includes Woolworths, Coles, so your weekly grocery shop, JB Hi-Fi, and my personal favorite, Super Cheap Auto. All that kind of thing. And the savings that can be made just in my own experience are absolutely phenomenal. So that's something that we're really proud of that we've recently launched, and we're getting really good feedback from our staff. So there's some of the key reasons in terms of benefits that we offer our employees. There's a whole list more on our website if you want to check that out as well. All right. The last bit for me before I hand over. So something that we're really proud of here as well is that we really do our best to foster a diverse and inclusive workplace. This is something that we're really passionate about. We've recently looked at and refreshed our corporate values, which you can see in the bottom right corner there. And you'll see one of the ones that's most important to us is respect and inclusion for everybody. And that's all the way from attracting people from diverse backgrounds to work at the organisation, but also maintaining a safe workplace for diverse backgrounds as well. So as it notes there, Council welcomes people of all genders, backgrounds, beliefs and experiences are welcome and embraced at QPRC. So some of the initiatives that we look after, so we've got a diversity and inclusion group, which basically is a small committee that makes sure that everything that we do is inclusive and accessible for people from diverse backgrounds as well, and maintaining a psychologically safe workplace. We've recently renewed our reconciliation action plan as well. And we've got an equal employment opportunity policy that really binds us to make sure that we're acquiring talent in an equitable and equal opportunity way. We've also recently partnered with some veteran employment programs, so RSL Life Care, the Veteran Family Hub, which is opened in town just down the road from us, and the New South Wales Veterans Affairs Veteran Employment Program. That's something else that we're really passionate about, as we've got a high veteran population within the Queanbeyan-Palerang region. And lastly, we also celebrate events aimed at promoting diversity and inclusion within the workplace. So that includes Are You OK Day, Wear It Purple Day, and Council's Biggest Morning Tea, amongst others. So we'll have a break from me talking for a little bit. I'm going to hand over to Kate MacWilliam, who's our team leader of learning and development, and she's going to run over the specifics a little bit more about the Cadet, Apprentice and Trainee program, and then you'll get the opportunity to hear from some of the hiring managers and learn about the specific roles that we have advertised. Thank you, and over to you, Kate.
Thanks, Bryce. So as Bryce just said, my name is Kate MacWilliam. I am the team leader of learning and development. And what that means is not only do I look after all of the training that our crews require to actually undertake their jobs in council, but I also look after the Cadet, Apprentice and Trainee program from a mentoring perspective. So just to dial it back a little bit, what are the essential elements of our program is that council will employ you to work full-time and study part-time. And the crux of that is that we pay for all of your course fees and associated costs, including your textbooks. So what you would walk away from at the end of your contract, if you secure a full-time job with us or with anyone else, is no HECS debt, no outstanding fees, a full qualification, and up to 6 years of work experience within the relevant field. So just to break down the 3 areas, our cadets complete a diploma or bachelor's degree. With the opportunities that we have available at the moment, we have linkages with University of New England, the College of Professional Development, and University of Canberra for our cadetship program, cadetship offers. Our apprentices will be studying at CIT for sports turf management or through a Cert 3 in Parks and Gardens. And our trainee position will be studying with either Orbis 3 and Fusion for civil construction to complete a Cert 3 in civil construction plant operations, or through the Australian College of Commerce and Management for a business administration. Outside of taking you through that learning journey and helping you to sign up to your course and ensuring that you understand all of the requirements of study, we also make sure that you have all of the scaffolding approaches that you need. So that means that if there's ever a part of your course that you're not entirely sure of, you can come to me and we'll workshop it through, we'll problem solve, and we'll provide you a little bit of extra assistance and tutoring if required. We also look forward to the opportunities to actually help you develop your career skills as well as your learning opportunities through quarterly workshops where we build professional development skills or skills that will suit you well, very well in all of your ongoing professional endeavors. And we provide coaching and mentoring as well. So we really want you to understand that we acknowledge and appreciate that this is a full-time job that you'll be doing as well as studying part-time, and we want to help you get the best out of both your career development through your employment opportunities as well as through your study opportunities. So through the coaching and mentoring, I will sit with you quarterly in a one-on-one capacity so that we can go through any sort of niggles that you may have, any questions you may have, or even how to set yourself up for the future with your particular course and employment. And then also how to balance things if you are struggling a little bit with the workloads, because our whole goal is that you don't get overwhelmed while you are studying and working with us, but it is a very enjoyable and engaging opportunity for you to undertake something that most people don't get the opportunity to do. We also work really closely with your supervisors to make sure that the whole approach to our cadet, apprentice and trainee programs is a holistic approach. So we get everybody in to understand the journey that you're going through, but also to make sure that it's the best opportunity for you both. So in the next slide, you'll see our positions that are currently available. So as I mentioned before, our apprentice gardeners and the apprentice sports fields turf management will be studying at CIT, and that one's basically a 4-year contract to undertake that particular Cert 3, as well as get the on-the-job experience that you need. Our trainee civil constructions in Braewood is up to a 36-month opportunity, so a 3-year opportunity. The trainee administration opportunity is 2 years. And the Biosecurity Weeds opportunity, who will be studying through TAFE New South Wales, is also a 2-year opportunity. The cadets, strategic planner and journalists, they will be up to a 6-year opportunity for the right person. And that's just to ensure that you don't overload with the requirements of study, because we know that the university degrees, having done a few myself, can be quite hard towards the end. So we really make sure that you've got enough time to actually complete your study as well as all of your work that you require to do under your job. And part of the way that we do that is we give you study hours each week throughout the work week to actually assign time to complete any modules or exams or assignments that you may have come up in your course studies, but also to give you the opportunity to undertake that in the workplace so that you can connect with your team and get the best of their experience to answer your questions you may have and inform your answers to all of these assessments that may come up during your modules. Outside of these positions, we're not limited to these positions. So if you do see something that interests you, subscribe to our job alerts on our careers portal for any future opportunities, because that's where we'll advertise all of our positions when they are becoming available. Thanks, Bryce.
Thanks, Kate. That was great. So now the part that you've all been waiting for. We're going to hear from some of the hiring managers of the positions that we currently have listed. So I'll just skip to the next slide. Okie doke. So the first one that we've got is the Apprentice Gardeners. We've got 2 of those advertised at the moment in our horticulture space. So we'll be hearing from our senior horticulturist, Rod McMullen, and one of our existing apprentices, Alicia Holmes, as well. So I'll pass over to you guys.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you, Bryce. Hello and welcome to Urban Landscapes. I'm here with a short presentation about starting your horticultural journey as an apprentice with Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council. My name, as Bryce has said, is Rod McMullen, and I'm the Senior Horticulturalist Team Leader for the horticultural crew working in and around the Queanbeyan CBD and other areas. Next to me is Alicia. She's our 3rd year apprentice, and she will, after I finish talking, will tell you about life in the council. A little bit about me. I started my career about 30 years ago. I started my horticulture journey as an apprentice with a landscape company. And then from there, I learned many skills which set me up on a path which led me to where I am now. Why would you start an apprenticeship here? The council offers a unique training process in which you rotate through our gardening teams, which work in different landscape environments. So you get a really good balanced outcome. You could be mowing, edging, blowing in our beautiful town park, or you could be moving in and around the CBD gardens, keeping them tidy. Blowing pathways, pruning, mulching, watering, and more renovating of some older gardens and doing some hard pruning, mulching, transplanting, and planting new shrubs and trees. And also not just trees in our parks, but trees on our sides of our streets. The council also offers in-house training. An example which I think Bryce has touched on is chainsaw use, and to working at heights to traffic control. A typical day for us can include going out doing morning blow runs to make sure everything's looking nice and tidy, litter picking our gardens, getting all that out of there, and just keeping it pretty much tidy. After a short break, the bulk of the day can be renovating gardens. We could be tree planting, we could be mowing areas, we could be planting new plants, or we could be pruning. The afternoon is basically finishing off those jobs, cleaning up. We could be watering plants from what we did in the morning. We could be cleaning our tools and equipment such as mowers, so they're ready for the next day. Throughout the year, we may be involved in some small landscaping projects, which is exciting, irrigation installations or street tree plantings. One which I'll talk about was a project which we landscaped our new animal pound, in which we cleared out a lot of unwanted vegetation. We came in and installed an irrigation system. We planted it out with some lovely native shrubs, and we mulched the garden areas. We prepared an area for some new lawns, so when the people come to pick up their dogs or look for dogs, they've got a little area with a nice seat to sit on. We put some slipper edging around that and laid some beautiful new turf, which we've now just starting to mow. This was a great project for all our apprentices to experience, and moving forward is an area in which they will now maintain. The apprentices learned that hard work and working as a team produces a very rewarding garden, and that themselves are proud of. Now, if you have a passion for outdoor work and you love gardening and you like working in a team, then we want you to join us and begin your horticultural journey. A career in horticulture can lead to many pathways. It's not just what we do here. There's so many pathways there in horticulture, and this is a very good starting place. Now, I'll hand you over to Alicia to fill you in about being an apprentice.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia and I'm in my 3rd year doing a cert degree in Parks and Gardens with Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council. So if you love being outdoors, getting your hands dirty and doing work where you can actually see the results, this could be the perfect job for you. As an apprentice, you'll be out in our parks and gardens and sports fields, helping keep our open spaces looking great. Council really supports its apprentices and gives us a lot of opportunities to grow. Some of the benefits include having your entire apprenticeship being paid for while studying at CIT, training and development, like Rod and everyone has said, doing the use of chainsaws, working at heights and traffic control. Uniforms and PPE are all fully provided, boots and everything. Helping out at community events, which is super rewarding, being able to help out in the parks that we care for every day, and a fortnightly rostered day off, which I find personally unreal. So it makes for a really great work-life balance. Working in this industry has been super rewarding. I've learned so much, not just about horticulture, but also about teamwork, resilience, problem solving, and being proactive. Every day is different and it's amazing to see the results of your work out in the community. Seeing what you do every day, people spending time in our parks and gardens and enjoying them as much as we do. We've got a super inclusive and supportive team environment, which I've loved being a part of. And I've gotten the opportunity to turn my hobby and passion into a career. And I get to come to work and do what I love every day. You don't need any prior experience. You'll be taught everything you need to know. We're just looking for people who enjoy hands-on work, love being outdoors, take pride in what they do, and have a genuine passion for gardens and the environment, as we do.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up for us. Thanks, Alicia. I just want to make the point again that we do want people who've got a passion for this because it makes it so much more enjoyable. Have a good can-do attitude because there's a lot of problem solving out there that we've got to perform, and just enjoy working in a team. We've got a really lovely team. We get on really well. We split up into various groups and then we come back for lunch and then we go back out again. We're rotating through people and everyone gets a go in all the different teams, meets the different gardeners and leading hands and team leaders. So I think we're on to something really good here.
Hi.
Well, okay. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, team. I'd just like everyone to know as well that this team, our horticulture team, is a 2-time internationally winning horticulture team. So we've got some pretty big awards for our Queanbeyan Park and our Queen Elizabeth Park too. So not only are you working for a great team, you're also working for an award-winning team that know what they're doing, and you can get a really great experience on top of that. Rod and Alicia, question without notice, super briefly. What is the most rewarding part for you guys about being a gardener?
Oh, so many things. Personally, as I said, just having like such a big passion that I've discovered, starting with council and starting this apprenticeship. Yeah, it's just like a super inclusive group, and it's become passion of mine and yours for the last 30 years. What do you find most rewarding?
Well, I suppose that's when I first started here. I just saw a potential that Queanbeyan as itself needed a lot more flowering shrubs in this town and get a bit of perfume and scent and a lot of colour. So to me, I'm slowly achieving that, and I think our parks are starting to turn around and evolve, and that's what I've really enjoyed so far.
I think you've achieved that too. All right. Thank you very
That
much.
sort of covered the question.
Thank you.
All righty. So the next position that we have is our Apprentice of Sports Turf Management. A little bit similar, a little bit different. And for this one, we'll be hearing from our Coordinator of Sports Fields and Playgrounds, James Carell. So I'll pass it over to you, James.
Thanks, Bryce. That's a tough one to follow. Thanks, Rod and Alicia, for that. As Bryce mentioned, my name's James Carell. I'm the Coordinator for Sports Fields and Playgrounds. And basically, I look after sports clubs, sports fields, and obviously playgrounds, as the name states. So thanks for being here today. I guess I wanted to introduce you to a career that's probably flown under the radar for most people, but once you know about it, you'll probably start seeing it everywhere. It's called Sports Turf Management, and it's one of the most rewarding, hands-on and community-connected jobs out there. Let me give you a little brief overview of my sports turf journey. So like all kids, I played sport from a young age, ranging from the AFL, touch football, then eventually golf. During competing competitively in golf, I visited some amazing sports turf sites, which made me wonder and began to make me intrigued on how and why the grass was so green, even after heavy rain or extended periods of hot weather. That led me into an apprenticeship in sports turf management, which I went at a local golf course, which I was able to learn all aspects of sports turf management. And then eventually I was stepped up into a leadership role, a second in charge, where I got to give back what I'd learned back into the next generation of apprentices, which was great. I then ventured out into some facilities management, where I looked after all the grounds at the Australian War Memorial. So that's where this career path can take you as well, before venturing into QPRC as a sports and sports fields coordinator. So currently our team looks after over 40 sports fields, which hosts Canberra Raiders, trial matches, Canberra United women's training camps, first grade football, just to name the few. I guess so. It starts with the basics. So what is sports turf maintenance or management as such? In simple terms, it's the job of looking after the grass and grounds where sport is played. This includes everything from your local footy oval to major stadiums, your local golf course to Flemington Racecourse on Melbourne Cup Day. If you've ever played on a field that felt smooth, safe and ready for action, that didn't happen by accident. That's the work of us, turf managers, also known as greenkeepers. It's not only sports fields, but golf courses, horse racing tracks, bowling greens. It's quite a diverse career path. We're the people behind the scenes making sure the surface is ready for the game. We make sure it's safe for players, looks great for spectators, and can handle the wear and tear of sport. And we do it using a mix of practical skills, planning, and a bit of science. A lot of people would ask, well, you're not a scientist, you just mow grass. But there's a lot more behind it. Turf management is a lot more than mowing. It's about understanding how grass grows, how to keep it healthy, and how to prepare it for different sports. It's about knowing when to water, when to feed the turf, and how to fix the problems like bare patches or soggy areas. It's all about using machines and tools to get the job done efficiently and safely. I'll give you an example here in Queanbeyan. We look after a range of sports fields. Some are used for AFL, some for rugby, some for soccer. Each field has different needs. Some get worn out faster, some need to be extra smooth. So for example, for soccer, some need to recover quickly between games. We plan ahead for things like reseeding, fertilising, and even spreading sand to improve the surface. It's a bit like Rod's team, a bit like gardening, but on a much bigger scale. Days are never the same within the sports turf industry. You could be mowing one of our elite sports fields first thing in the morning, fertilising one of our competition fields ready for weekend play at midday, then after lunch be line marking the very same field you mowed that morning. As an apprentice in the industry, you'll learn all the step by step. You need to know, you don't need to know the technical stuff right away. That's why there's people like myself around. You'll be trained on how to use equipment, how to care for turf, and how to work as part of our team. We have here at QPRC, we have a sort of small team. There's 7 of us, diversing from just grounds people to leading hands, and then obviously turf managers like myself. You'll be outdoors, learning by doing and building skills that can take you anywhere, from local councils to elite sports venues. And here's the best part. This is a career where you can see the impact of your work every day. You're not stuck behind a desk. You're out in the fresh air, helping create the spaces where sport happens, where communities come together, and where memories are made. The career can take you around the world. Australian sports turf managers are very sought after, particularly in the US and Asia. It's also a career that's changing fast. We're seeing new technology like smart irrigation systems and GPS guided mowers, and more focus on sustainability, like reducing water use and improving soil health. So if you're someone who likes working with your hands, but also wants to be part of something modern and meaningful, turf management is a great fit. And let's be honest, there's something pretty special about walking across a field you help prepare, knowing that players are about to run out and give it their all. You're part of the team, even if you're not wearing a jersey. So if you love sport, enjoy being outdoors, and want a career that's practical, active, and full of opportunity, sports turf management might be the perfect path for you. It opens you up to the world of experienced turf managers. You can show your friends and family how to look after their backyard lawns. We're looking for apprentices who are curious, reliable, and ready to learn. You don't need to know everything now. You just need to be willing to give it a go. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see some of you out on the field soon, not just playing on it, but helping it make it great. Thanks.
Thanks, James. Wow, I might apply for that job myself. Sold it well. I can't think of much more rewarding than being able to maintain and look after fields that are played on by the Canberra Raiders. So I think that's really cool.
It's pretty
All right.
special.
Thanks for your time, James. We'll move on to the next position now. So the next one here, we've got 2 trainee civil construction roles based in our Braidwood depot as well. So I'll pass over to our coordinator of transport construction, Barry Osman. Thanks, Barry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about the Trainee Civil Construction Machine Operation Cert 3 that is offering out of the Braidwood Depot. We currently have 3 trainees in our department in the other 2 depots. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm the coordinator of transport construction, and where these positions sit is in the transport division, which is quite a large division within council. It has transport construction and transport maintenance, and each of those areas have team leaders and leading hands, and probably up to between 6 to 10 individual crews in each depot. And we have 3 depots: Braidwood, Bungendore, and Queanbeyan. So we have a very multidisciplinary team. We do have a lot of machine operators that work within our own ranks, and that's the aim of this traineeship, is to reboost those skill sets that can help council keep delivering its core services for the community. So the traineeship is a 3-year traineeship. It's done with a service provider. I believe it's Orbis at the moment, and they come to us. So most of the training is done on site while you're at work, while you're with your crews. There is some times that you get together in the Queanbeyan office, and as Kate said, help each other out, going through their core subjects, which I believe there's a few core subjects and a lot of individual machine operation subjects as electives. Now, working for council in our transport teams. We have 3 depots, and most depots have between 20 to 30 staff members, and you'll be fitting in with those teams, and you'll be moving around between the teams as required by the operations to get that experience, get to see what each one does, which may help you in the future to whichever area you wish to take that skill set on further to become very experienced in. Most of our leading hands they have a single machine that they operate precisely. So this is the core area that council wants to get back and get some skill sets in. So one of the main ones we have is our leading hand construction grader. Now, it's a very time-consuming skill to obtain, and if it interests you, this is the start of your career, because you'll get to touch on it during your traineeship. You'll get to see these skilled operators use these very large earth-moving machines. You get to learn some technology that goes along with it, such as GPS machine control, and what happens with that and what can happen with that going into the future. As I said, a core day, a day would look, you get up and get to work early. We normally start around 7 o'clock and finish at 4. We do have a 9-day fortnight operationally, but you'd turn up to work, you'd find out which crew you go with, you'd meet different people. We have, as I said, we do have a diverse range of staff members in our depots, and hopefully you get to learn their experience, well, how they do their activities for work, because we do have different ways of maintaining our roads and bridges. And then you'd also get to witness projects come out of the ground where we build whole new sections of road, such as Nerriga Road, where we're building 5.5 kilometres of unsealed road into a sealed road on a new alignment, where we're cutting through the Great Dividing Range and moving about 120,000 cubic metres of material, which goes along with a lot of other aspects of a project. So you get to see what happens on the ground from the start to when it's finished, and hopefully you get a bit of gratitude out of seeing what you've built. So hopefully that's enough information about the role. I'm happy to take any questions on board, or if Bryce gets them at the moment. I'm sure I didn't speak long enough.
That's all right. Thanks, Barry. I'm expecting this to be one of the more popular roles, so I'm sure we'll get many questions about this one. Question without notice. What are some of the career pathways available to those who would complete this traineeship?
Oh, there's many. As I say, you only touch on it in your traineeship because you get to touch on all the machines in the earth moving industry during your traineeship. But most people only specialises in one bit of machinery, and they can take that into the once they get to that specialist ability, they can take that into the private sector as well and make their own business out of it. That's where we have a lot of subcontractors that have come from that area of the world that has this Cert 3 qualification, operators for large earth moving companies. So that's one thing you can go forward, but you can also stay with council. You can move up in the ranks of council to team leaders, where you have multiple teams to instruct, and you also get to teach people what you've learned from your traineeship through to growing your skills at work, and then give that back in a way. I've seen students move into a whole new set of technology, such as we talk about machine control and these machines. They make a career out of just teaching that and going around and showing people how to use the technology. And that area of the earth moving business is going to grow into the future. So there's a wide range, just like civil engineering, there's a wide range that you can focus in on when you've touched on all of it.
Great. All right. Thanks for your time with that, Barry. Okie doke. So we'll move to the next presenter now. So that is our Coordinator of Development Business Administration, Tanya Kofinas. Hoping I pronounced that correctly. So this will be another pretty competitive role, I anticipate. So this is our trainee administration within our development team based in Queanbeyan. So Tanya, I'll pass over to you.
Thanks, Bryce. Can you see me? Joey was going to bring
You're all
me
good.
on. Yep. Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. So this traineeship position, it's within the Development Environmental Administration team, and it's based in our Queanbeyan office. So we predominantly provide a high admin support to a number of areas within council, such as town planning, building certification, development engineering, and a bit for the environment and compliance team. It's quite an interesting area to work within council, as there's such a wide variety of tasks and roles that we do. So it's a lot of admin roles tend to be repetitive, whereas we're not. We're quite busy and full on, which is good. So the team assists in the lodgement and support of applications made to council, which consists of new developments, renovations, subdivisions, commercial buildings, and alterations to existing buildings. That's just to name a few. But we also learn about the different types of legislation and regulatory requirements when building or developing within the Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council area. And as Bryce said, it's quite a big area, so there's a lot of work. So as our trainee, you'll learn a number of admin skills. Some of that involves customer service, which is generally over the phone and via email, but it also can be a bit of face-to-face with our customers downstairs. Processing of letters and reporting, registering and collating a range of documents, and addressing general inquiries, amongst a number of other tasks. There's a lot there, so that's just a few that I've mentioned. You also gain experience in several different systems, such as Microsoft Office, which includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. And there's also a number of council systems that you will learn how to navigate and use as well. So I think administration is a great starting point in council for a lot of people, especially within our team, as we work with a number of different departments within council, and it creates a lot of opportunities for people to apply for different roles across the organisation as well as in local government. I've spoken to our previous trainee and asked her for her feedback on her experience during her traineeship over the past 2 years. And she said she enjoyed her time as a trainee. Not only did she gain her Cert 4 in business admin and build her skills, but she really enjoyed learning so much in regards to local government regulations and legislation. And it gave her more of an opportunity when looking for permanent employment within local government organisations. And she actually was recently successful in gaining a permanent role within QPRC with us, which is a perfect example of how the traineeship can help further your skills and opportunities for employment down the track. So we have an amazing team of 8 officers. They're always very supportive and happy to help when needed. And as the admin trainee, you'll receive daily support from not only myself, but the team as well. They're always happy to pitch in and help. And not only will there be hands-on training, but as Kate mentioned earlier, you also have allocated study time, which will enable you to complete your assessments and have us there to help you to call upon for advice and assistance when you need. So yeah, that's just a very brief overview of the admin role. There is a lot more involved than what I've said, but we're pretty excited to have a trainee work with us, and hopefully we'll be meeting one of you in the future.
Great. Thanks, Tanya.
Bryce.
I can say from experience that the folks that come through the traineeship of administration often use it as a stepping stone to go to other places within council, whether it be staying within the development administration team. I've had one of the people that's completed this traineeship come into my team, into HR. So it's a really good foundation to find your place in local government and work your way up the chain.
Very much
this is
so.
a really exciting opportunity. All right. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks.
All righty. So our next one is our Cadet Strategic Planner, also based in Queanbeyan. So I'll hand over to our Manager of Strategic Planning, Hayden Murdoch. Thanks, Hayden.
Bryce, and good evening, everyone. I'm Hayden Murdoch. I'm the Manager of Strategic Planning at Queanbeyan-Palerang Regional Council, and I actually started as a cadet, not at Queanbeyan-Palerang, but at Campaspe Shire Council down in Victoria, and I was obviously working and studying at the same time, and I can attest to Bryce's advice earlier. It certainly put me ahead of other town planners looking for their first jobs once their study had been completed. But now I sit in a very privileged position, and I get to do the forward thinking for our community across the council area. Our team gets to shape how our communities look and feel. We get to dive across every part of council, including urban landscapes and understanding where open space needs are required. We get to touch on architecture and making sure our building controls can reflect not only best practice, but maintain the heritage feel of our communities. We get to work with the community to understand what their aspirations and needs are, to ensure that we're making sure that our planning controls can facilitate that as well. The planning industry is also evolving. There's a known shortage of planners, not only in New South Wales and Australia, but across the world. So the career can take you literally anywhere. But we're also moving into an area where AI is becoming more and more prevalent, and immersive technologies are something that we're starting to think about and include in our workloads. From our team's perspective, we've got 15 in the strategic planning branch, and we look after GIS, which you'd be exposed to working in and understanding. We also have our planning projects team, which running our major strategic planning processes, which includes the review of CBD master plans, infill housing strategies, developing structure plans for Bungendore and Braidwood, as well as understanding car parking needs across our cities. And we've also got our zoning and statutory planning team, and the coordinator of that team will be on the line, as this position will report to him to take questions at the end. It's extremely exciting. It's a profession that cuts through every part of every part of society, including macroeconomics, people, social responsibility, the environment. What we're looking for are problem solvers. At the end of the day, that's what we're there to do for our community, is understand their needs and work out how we can manage it. So if you're looking at, if you care about the environment, you've got an interest in urban design and development, you care about your local community, and you're interested in high-tech industries and understanding where they can go and how they're going to impact us, planning might be for you. You never know, you might be able to plan for a monster like we did in SimCity 2000. So if there's any questions, please reach out to myself and Pat at the end.
Thanks, Hayden. I can say myself as someone who has attempted to recruit planners over the years with various levels of success. Anyone who attains their qualification as a town planner through this cadetship will become incredibly employable because, yes, there's definitely a shortage. Hayden, question without notice, what do you find the most rewarding aspect about being a town planner?
Me, Bryce, it's probably the problem solving. I love coming in to work each day, not knowing what each day will necessarily entail, but coming up with different problems across council or the community or the environment. They could be macro, they could be, on our front doorstep. Each day is different, and I guess I get the most satisfaction out of being able to methodically think my way through those problems to come up with solutions that, benefit our community.
Great. Thanks for that, Hayden. All right. On to our next. So 2 more to go. And then we'll wrap up with just some Q&A and some opportunities to learn about how to apply for our jobs as well. So this one here is our trainee of biosecurity weeds. We've got 2 positions currently advertised in this area, and they're located in Bungendore. I'll pass over to our leaders in this space, Mel Corey and Neville Plum. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Bryce, and hi, everyone. It's really exciting to have everyone online to hear firstly about our apprenticeship and traineeship program overall, and hopefully some specific interest in our biosecurity weed positions. So firstly, a little bit about myself. Like Hayden, I started my career as a local government cadet, not at QPRC, with one of our neighbouring councils, and I really feel like it's set me up well for my career. And I'm excited that I'm now in a position to be talking to the next generation of local government trainees and cadets, and particularly the ones that are going to come and work in our team. So a bit about the position, and I'm here with Neville Plum, who's my Biosecurity Weeds team leader, and I'll throw over to him shortly to talk a bit about the day-to-day. But the position is a really important position in our biosecurity team. So some of the aims of that position are to help protect our the amazing natural biodiversity of our region, protect our agricultural lands. As part of the role, you'll study a Certificate 3 in Conservation and Ecosystem Management, and that'll set you up really well for the position, teaching you things like plant ID, weed control methods, setting you up with things like GIS and online mapping tools, which we're using every day to support our program. You'll be based out in our Bungendore office, and I can tell you, working with a really dedicated, passionate and highly knowledgeable team. And they're in a position of their careers where they're really looking to pass on their skills to the next generation. And like I said, this is a really important field. We also do some really exciting stuff using new technology, things like drones, occasionally things like amphibious vehicles. But like I said, I'm now going to throw over to Neville, who'll talk to you a little bit about the day-to-day aspects of the position.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. So on the day-to-day, so probably first thing in the morning, we'd just start off looking at any messages that come in and returning phone calls and making bookings for people, because we go out onto people's properties, private land, and inspect for weeds, Pacific weeds and things like that, are the pest bans to our community or the New South Wales. From there, we might do a few reports from the day before, might do some mapping of some weeds and things like that, or use the mapping for future planning purposes for where we're going to go in the council area. Then we'd head out into the field and we'll be doing, meeting different landholders and other stakeholders, going through, walking around on their properties or driving around the properties and passing on information of any plants that we might find and how to control them and using the best methods and things like that. The landholder might have a specific plant that he's worried about, so you'll ask them the question, we'll be able to help him on that. Usually if we don't know the answer in the field, we'll research it and provide him the information. We also do control work on our roadsides and reserves. So there's
bit involved in that. So it's controlling the different pest plants on those reserves. As Mel said, we've got a really small dedicated team like that, and we are all really passionate, and we really do want to pass on all this information that we've learned over the years. I wasn't a trainee, but I sort of feel that I did a traineeship. I started off weed spraying for council and moved up into the position of doing inspections and team leader. So it is a great opportunity for learning the control side as well as inspecting and things like that. And basically, we see surveying people's properties and things like that, and mapping weeds using online in-field mapping tools. And it's good to be able to give back to the community and pass on that information, help the community. And for our roadside and reserve control things, we're helping protect the community, the threatened plants and animals out there where these weeds might be impacting on those. We're giving protection to those areas. And also we do inspections of waterways and things like that. So for recreational areas where people might use it for swimming, might use it for fishing or boating and things like that, it's important that some of the really pesky weeds don't get into those areas as well and take over. We're making it so you can't use it for those recreational purposes anymore.
Excellent. Thanks, Nev. So, look, anybody that's interested, we welcome a phone call. Neville's the hiring manager and ready and willing to provide further information to potential applicants. And we really look forward to receiving a wide range of applications for these positions.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I can definitely attest that it's a great team. They are very dedicated and knowledgeable. So whoever does win these two roles will have some great mentors in this space. From my observation, definitely a great job for someone that's passionate about conservation and environmental management as well. All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, this is another one that I think is going to be really competitive and doesn't come up very often either. Is our cadetship within the journalism space. And we're lucky enough to actually have the former incumbent of this role. So we've got real life experience of someone that's done it recently, Rebecca Zivkovic. So I'll pass over to you. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Bryce. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Zivkovic, and I'm Council's Communications and Engagement Officer in the Communications and Engagement team. My team is responsible for how Council connects with the community, staff and stakeholders, and we make sure that people understand what Council does, why decisions are made, and how they can get involved. So that can be everything from media releases and social media to community engagement and internal staff updates. So I first joined Council in January 2022 as its very first cadet journalist. And at that point, I was 20 years old. I just finished my first year of a journalism degree at the University of Canberra. And I had really no clear set idea of what I wanted my studies or my career to look like. So almost 4 years later, that cadetship has been such an important part of my journey, and it's helped me build skills and gain hands-on experience. And it's also helped me discover that my passion lies more in the comms and PR side of things rather than traditional journalism, as I initially thought. So one of the best parts about this job is the variety in the work that you get to do. While there are regular tasks that follow a set schedule in the role, every day is different, and in the comms team, we are all doing different things all at different times. So today, for instance, this morning, I spent some time with the events team for our media launch for our Music by the River event, and I was there capturing some content for social media. And then in the afternoon, I was editing some posters that I've made for our placemaking team for some events they have coming up for Christmas. So every day is different. As our cadet journalist, you'll have the opportunity to strengthen and expand on skills across writing, photography, videography, graphic design, interviewing, and more, all the while contributing to real projects that make an impact in the community. So more specifically, as the cadet journalist, there are some set tasks that you will be doing day to day. One of those is our Mayor's column, which comes out fortnightly. We have a fortnightly edition that goes in the Regional Independent and a monthly edition that comes out in the Braidwood Changing Times. And so that is a column which is from the Mayor, which you will write, speaking about things that are happening around council, but it teaches you how to write and capture somebody else's voice and tone, which is a really important skill in comms. You'll also be working on media releases, so drafting and distributing media releases to promote council projects, events, and community initiatives. This really helps you develop an understanding of how to write with news values in mind and how to get stories picked up for coverage by journalists. This was an interesting thing for me personally as a journalism student, where I was at uni learning to write the stories that we would get from somebody like me at work. And that's just an example of how your learning is really connected. You'll also be working on our weekly e-newsletter. So that is an emailed newsletter that our subscribers get, and that just pulls together a snapshot of what's been happening at council during the week, events we have coming up, different things on our Your Voice page that people can have their say on. You will also be working on putting together talking points for our general manager, who does a fortnightly slot on Queanbeyan FM. So we put together talking points for her so that she has conversational, accessible talking points that she can use to tell the community what's happening, what's going on, rather than having complex script that is hard to understand. And you'll also be working on conducting interviews and writing stories for internal and external audiences, and this includes our Inclusion Matters campaign. So things that I worked on when I was a cadet include staff profiles for our internal newsletter. So meeting up with staff, talking to them about their jobs, their careers so far, how they got to council, the things they do day to day. I also interviewed a local artist who painted a mural here in Crawford Street. And we also have our Inclusion Matters campaign, as I mentioned, which is a campaign that we run with our community team, where we share the stories of community members with disability as a way to promote inclusion and accessibility. So that's a really important campaign that I started through my cadetship, and I'm really looking forward to working with the new cadet to continue that on. And finally, the biggest part that is probably my biggest goal since stepping into the Comms and Engagement Officer role that I would love help with our new cadet is social media content creation. So as we know, socials are such a big part of the environment that we live in now, the comms environment. So many people prefer to consume news and information this way, and it's been a big goal of mine to strengthen council's video presence on social media. So you'd be working very closely with me to bring that vision to life, from brainstorming ideas and filming, featuring in and editing content. So it's a really creative part of the job that I love, and it gives you a chance to build confidence both behind and in front of the camera. In terms of balancing work and study, when I was in the role, I had 4 hours of study leave each week, and I used that time to attend lectures and tutorials on campus in Bruce at the University of Canberra. So I'm really lucky. I've got an awesome boss, very understanding of needing to get to classes, and that was my priority rather than using that time at work to complete assignments. I really wanted to make sure I got to those classes and got the best of that experience. Since stepping into the Comms and Engagement Officer role a few months ago, council's continued to provide me with study leave and has continued to pay for my degree. I've got about a year left, so I'm really grateful that they've continued with that support. Council is really understanding of the fact that studying and working full-time is full on, and it can be really tough. Especially I found in my first year at uni before I started at council, I couldn't understand the things I was learning and how they would apply in the real world. But when you have that hands-on experience, you start to make connections between what you're learning and what you're doing at work. And the things you do at uni, like research, storytelling, critical thinking, directly apply to your day-to-day work. And in return, the practical experience that you get as a cadet brings all that academic learning to life. You'll be in class going, I've done that at work already. I know how to do this assignment, which is really handy. When I applied for the cadet role, I was really worried that I didn't have any professional experience and that lack of experience would hold me back, but that's exactly the kind of person that we're looking for and who this role is designed for. So if you're a good writer and you enjoy meeting and talking with people, we can teach you the rest. We can help you with the technical skills, show you how to use the platforms that we rely on to do what we do. We have full access to the Adobe suite and all those kinds of things. The role's based here in Queanbeyan, and our team is small but lovely. I would argue we're the best team in council, but I'm biased. But we can't wait to hear from all the applicants, and we're very excited to have someone new on board soon.
Great. Thanks, Rebecca. I had all these questions lined up, but I'm pretty sure you've covered just about everything. It's been really valuable.
It's my job to answer the questions.
Of course. I suppose it would be really rewarding to see your work that you've produced, that you've written and prepared, be delivered to a large audience with many, many readers and viewers and all that kind of thing. I suppose to summarize, as a former cadet in this role yourself, what were some of the best things that you got out of that cadetship that you think the next person would really be able to take away from it?
I would say two things. I would say one is confidence. The person that I was when I started this role and the person that I am now, complete 180. My team's instilled a confidence in me and really put a belief in me that I am capable, and you're learning on the job. So it's a sink or swim. you gotta figure it out, but they're super supportive, and yeah, they've instilled that confidence in me. And as you were saying before, you are studying and working at the same time. And say if I hadn't gotten this comms and engagement officer role and my cadetship finished at the end of next year, I'd come away with a degree finished and like 5 years worth of experience, which makes me so I'm missing the word, you know what I mean? Employable. So yeah, I think that's a really unique opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that experience.
Great. Thanks for your time. And speaking of employability, we're about to go over some testimonials from former cadet apprentices and trainees. All right. So I've got 4 key ones. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm conscious of time. But the first one that we've got here is Elise Evans. So she started her time with council as a cadet engineer, and now she's worked her way up the chain to be a development engineer. And she's provided us with a testimonial of completing a cadetship with QPRC was a great opportunity, allowing me to gain practical experience and apply relevant skills in the field while studying my Bachelor of Civil Engineering. I always felt supported in terms of juggling work and study and getting to be involved in various projects and further training opportunities to enable broader learning. Career progression within the organisation has been strongly encouraged since becoming qualified, where my professional development as a cadet has allowed me to progress more into senior roles in the team. And I know just from my awareness of the work Elise does, she's been heavily involved in the Googong development, the Jumping Creek, so massive multi-million-dollar developments that are currently happening within our region. Elise is heavily involved with them. The next one that we got is Liam O'Grady. So he actually did a traineeship in administration, which Tanya talked about before. And now he's worked his way up to our digital service delivery officer. So he's in charge of all of our cellular assets, our mobile assets, computers, laptops, phones, all that kind of thing. And all of the AI programming that we're looking at the moment as well. So Liam has said, when I finished school, going straight into university wasn't the right path for me, as it is not for many others. And I also wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. Starting a business administration traineeship gave me the structure and real-world experience I needed to figure that out. It opened doors I hadn't considered, and over time I found my passion in digital service delivery. That first step into the workforce gave me confidence and skills to grow, and today I'm proud to be working in an IT projects role still at the council. I'd absolutely recommend a traineeship to anyone who's unsure of their next move. It's a great way to learn, earn, and discover what you're really good at. 2 more. So this might be a familiar face. We've just heard from her, and that's Mel Corey. So she started her cadetship, as she mentioned, at another council as a cadet environmental health officer. And now she's quite significantly up the chain of hierarchy as our manager of environment and compliance. And Mel's a really good example of just how high you can go within local government, from starting as a cadet apprentice or trainee into a senior management role. So she said, I really enjoyed my time as a cadet nearly 20 years ago. I found it to be a great starting point for my career. Being a local government cadet exposed me early on to the work I'd be involved in as a graduate and making working in the field more relevant and meaningful. I was also able to seek the assistance of my team in completing my assignments. Additionally, I was able to graduate without a HECS debt, which is a big deal, by the way, for anyone who's done a degree, to council paying off my degree. Diversifying my skills and experiences within the development portfolio set me up well when a management role became available. I'm currently working as the manager of environment and compliance for QPRC. Last but not least, we've got Sebastian Matrusis. So he started his cadetship as a building surveyor, and now he is a qualified building surveyor within our development control team. So he said, I started at council in early 2021 as a cadet. With council support, I'm now a registered certifier, and I've gained incredibly useful experience within the building industry. I'm thankful for the cadetship program run by council to allow for work experience that you just can't get at a university. Being a part of this program has allowed me to continue studying and given me the skills and making a name for myself within the industry, allowing for greater future potential. My university fees were also paid for by council, and I also have the flexibility to study time to get both my job done and do my study work. I myself, I can put my hand up and say I'm a former trainee as well. I did my time completing a bachelor's degree in human resource management. I'd started that prior to joining council, but council, I'm incredibly grateful for taking me on at that time and supporting me financially in completing my bachelor's degree. And after I finished my traineeship, I was able to work my way up to a leadership role, looking after council's talent acquisition, so recruitment, separation, engagement, all that kind of thing. And as a couple of our speakers have spoken to before, it was really great to have that tertiary experience, but also understand how to apply it in a real world industry context as well. I'm confident there's a large chunk of people that work at council that are former cadet, apprentice or trainees. A lot of us started in these positions, and we've been able to work our way up into leadership and senior management roles. So it just goes to show that it's a really good place to start. And if you keep your head down, work hard, apply those skills, no doubt you'll be able to secure leadership roles into the future. All right, as I mentioned at the start, we're nearly at the end, but I want to give you guys some tips and advice in applying for our vacancies. I appreciate that this might be the first time you've applied for a job. Regardless of whether you have or not, it can be a pretty daunting experience. I want to leave enough time for questions, so I'll skip over this a little bit. And if you've got further questions, our phone number is on our website. So it seems like a simple thing, but it often gets forgotten. So it's really important to take note of the closing date so you don't miss out on applying for these jobs. Cadet, apprentice and traineeship opportunities are always really competitive when we put them out for exactly the reasons that we've talked about today: free qualification, industry experience, all whilst getting paid. So they're always really competitive, so make sure you take note of that closing date. You can apply through our careers portal. There's a screenshot on the right there of what that looks like. It's really easy to find. Go into the QPRC website, hit the purple button that says careers, and you'll access our current vacancies there as well. We'll get you to answer some screening questions. They're all pretty basic around your eligibility to work in Australia, any medical requirements of the role, whether you are a citizen, permanent resident, or on a working visa, all that kind of thing. I'll just make super clear as well, because we're a little bit different from the Australian Public Service in the way that we can employ people on working visas, and you don't necessarily have to be a citizen or a permanent resident. So that's something to take note of. When you do apply, we're looking for 3 key documents. So that is the resume, a cover letter addressed specifically to the hiring manager, and most importantly, an address of the selection criteria. Your written address of the selection criteria, your responses to those selection criteria, are the primary way that our team assesses your suitability for an interview. So every position description, if you were to go onto our portal right now, about 2 or 3 pages down usually, there will be a list of selection criteria, usually no more than 6. And it could be something about, demonstrated ability to work in a team, time management skills, communication skills, all that kind of thing. And basically we're asking people to provide a response to those, and that gives us an indication as to whether we want to progress your application to an interview or perhaps not. So that's really important. As I mentioned before, I want to really bring home that this is council's main way of assessing selection criteria, assessing your suitability for an interview. So if you don't unfortunately address the selection criteria, I want to be super clear that there's a possibility that your application might not make it to interview. So that's really important to remember. You've also got the benefit of a guide. Every job that we put out, regardless of whether it's a cadet, apprentice, or traineeship position or not, there's a guide on all of our ads on how to apply for our jobs, and in particular how to address the selection criteria, inclusive of the STAR method, which allows you to provide evidence-based examples of where you've demonstrated those skills. And there's some examples that have been provided as well, for an operational based job or an office based job as well. So definitely worth having a look at that. Again, I skimmed over that part pretty quick because I'm conscious of time, but my team's phone number is on the careers page and our email address is there as well if you need any support or advice in applying for our vacancies. I'll just leave this here for a little bit as well. So any questions regarding the recruitment process or anything like that, my team's contact number is there and our email address. There's also a QR code to access our vacancies as well. If you've got any questions regarding the trainee, cadet, apprentice and traineeship program specifically, Kate MacWilliam, who you heard from before, who's our team leader of learning and development, her contact details are also there. If you've got any specific questions, you think of something after this webinar and go, bugger, I forgot to ask, then feel free to contact the contact officer that's on all of our advertisements as well, which will take you directly to the hiring manager. Alrighty, so Q&A. I'm conscious that there's some questions in the Q&A box here, but it looks like most have been answered. Hayden's offline now, so I'll direct this question to Pat. Pat, can you explain what GIS is, please?
Yeah, certainly can. So it's an abbreviation, Geographic Information System. It's what it's short for. But when council or another business references GIS, it's usually their mapping tool that is online. So you can Google QPRC online mapping tool. It's called Intramaps, and it's used by the public as well as internal staff to help consolidate information or make decisions. So things like on our end, we've got the zones for garbage collection. For the strategic planning team, we have our zone maps, flooding maps that help us decide, you know, what to build and where to build and things like that. And I guess I'll add, while I'm in front of the camera as well, I guess I wasn't a cadet, so I went through the usual 4 years of my bachelor degree. And I can say that you do get a very good opportunity when you're a trainee or a cadet to get paid while studying, flexible arrangements to study, and you really get a head start in your career, especially for a town planner.
Great, thanks, Pat. So the next question we've got, someone has asked, which I'll direct towards Barry if I could. For the trainee civil construction position, do trainees get experience working with machinery such as excavators, rollers and graders? Hoping Barry's still online.
I am. Yes, you'll get to touch on all of those machines and get some experience with them. They are a subject in your Cert 3, an elective. So you'll have to be competency verified on the machines at some stage during the traineeship. So you will have to drive them at some stage, but you'll be shown that at work, given the right induction to the right machine, and go through the process before you're given full control of it. But yes, you will get, hopefully that's what we're wanting you to do, and we're wanting you to then figure out which one you like to play with the most on a day-to-day basis.
Great, thanks, Barry. I've got two more questions for Rebecca, if you're still around. Feel free to keep putting your questions in, guys. No question is silly. By all means, feel free to ask anything. So Rebecca, the first question I've got for you, is there flexibility of work hours in the cadet journalist position to fit around attending uni lectures, workshops in person?
Yeah, definitely. So when you get your lecture times and tutorial times at the start of the semester, I would just sit down with my boss and say, these are when they're on, this is when they're happening, and he was fine with it. So that's all good. Same thing with flexibility for, particularly in the journalism unit that I'm doing. We would sometimes have to go out and do interviews for assignments and things like that. And if I said to Nathaniel, our boss, that I had to be out for an hour or two and I'd make up the time later, he's totally fine with that. So that's totally doable.
Great. And the next one, will cadets have opportunities to write and publish their own stories for the cadet journalism position?
So obviously the stories you'd be working on are about council and for council purposes. So not necessarily stories of your own in that sense, but definitely the stories that coincide with things that we're working on in council, that is definitely possible. Whether they go in QPRC News, which is our big monthly newsletter that I work on each month. You can help me with stories for that. Stories that go on our website. There's definitely scope for that.
Perfect. Thank you. I got another question here. This one I think I could probably answer. What is the age limit for any of the positions? So our legislation is pretty interesting in this space. There's not really a defined universal age per se. There's definitely some industries where there's the minimum age, but there's not many in our space. Generally speaking, depending on what role it is, we tend to go off the industry standard of 14, 9 months. This one could be a little bit tricky because there's some areas, say, for example, if you're working in a family daycare space, that would generally be 18 plus. Whereas if you're working in our aquatic spaces, then it can be 14 and 9 months upwards. So it just depends on the role that you're applying for. Chioma, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So if there's any role that you're interested in particular, feel free to shoot us an email to the careers page and we'll be able to verify for you any age restrictions that may be applicable, but it's not often, but that's the case. So yeah, just let us know, shoot us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as you can. Oliver, do you have to be already enrolled in the applicable degree or can you enroll after getting the position? I might pass this one over to our L&D team leader, Kate MacWilliam, if you could answer that, please.
No, you don't have to already be enrolled. You can come into the position without being enrolled and we will facilitate your enrollment for you. However, if you are already enrolled in the same degree that we currently go for, an applicable degree, and you are a successful candidate, then that is something that we can negotiate with you and then take on the payment of your university fees from the date you commence with us and move forward until the end of your degree or your certificate 3 or 4, whatever it may be.
Great, thank you. I've got another question. Would you consider QPRC to be family friendly in terms of work flexibility? Personally, in my own experience, I mean, sometimes we all know life just happens. You need to drop everything to maybe attend to family matters or other personal matters. In my experience, it always has been. I've never been questioned. If I've needed to attend to a family health matter or some other emergency or family commitments, I've never felt as though I couldn't. There's always been sort of openness to that in my experience. I'll hand over to my panel as well here. Does anyone else have any experience with this particular question around QPRC being family friendly by chance?
I believe we are, but it depends on certain roles too, Bryce. I feel like it's you got more flexibility with obviously office-based work, but when you're operationally based work and within a team operating away from services and everything, it gets a bit hard to accommodate a few things there. So it's depending on situations a lot of the time. We try as best we can.
Do anyone else have any experiences around that one?
I guess for me, Bryce, as Barry mentioned, I'm an office worker, so it's a little bit easier and more flexible for me. But things like if the kids are sick, there's flexibility to work from home. And, you might be up early, 6 a.m. and with discussion with your manager, you might be able to start earlier to finish earlier, as long as that core bit of work's getting done. And there's also the sick leave and health and wellbeing days as well that council offer.
Good point. Yeah, and that's a good thing to note as well with attending medical appointments. Anytime that I've needed to attend medical appointments, could be taken on some form of leave, and there's some accommodations around sick leave associated with that as well. But usually, most of the time, if it does depend on, I guess, your operational requirements of the role. But in my own case, I can usually just work back to accommodate that time as well. James, if you're still on, I've got a question for you here. So for the sports turf apprentice, will you work on any specific oval or all over the region?
Bryce, so you'd be working across the region. So we've got sports fields in Gurgong, Jera, Queanbeyan, Bungadore, and Braidwood. So yeah, across the whole region.
Great, cool. And I'd just like to really bring home, if you're a rugby league fan like I am, the opportunity to work on fields that the Raiders play on is a really exciting opportunity. So definitely check that out. Another question, does the communications and media degree need to be through a journalist stream? I've commenced this degree through a marketing communication. Would it still be warranted due to the position requirements? Rebecca, if I could ask you to answer that.
Yeah, so that's fine. So comms and media is kind of the broad umbrella that we fall under, but it can be journalism, PR, marketing, all those kinds of things, definitely.
Great, thank you. Chioma, can people living with a disability apply for the position? If they are interested, I think it says. Certainly, obviously with some roles are more physically demanding than others, and we've got measures in place to sort of accommodate for that. We've had people work in the organisation, whether it be IT administration, that kind of thing, who are in a wheelchair, for example. There's obviously some roles that it could be a little bit difficult in cases where, if you're a lifeguard, for example, or you're doing more physically demanding work, like in the horticulture space or in road construction, that kind of thing. But we do have, as I mentioned, we've got things in place that can sort of assist with that in a way, depending on what the operational requirements of the role are. So we do conduct pre-employment medicals for more physically demanding roles, where we would send you off to the doctor to get assessed. We would we would accommodate the fees ourselves for any pre-employment medicals. For more office-based jobs, there's a medical declaration form. We've actually got a dedicated team internally that help assess, I guess, where reasonable adjustments could be made in the cases of someone living with a disability, whether it be intellectual or more physical disability. But certainly, as I mentioned before, disabilities in particular is something that we're really trying to encourage people from those backgrounds to apply for our roles, because we are trying to be a more inclusive and diverse workplace. So certainly, I wouldn't let that necessarily be a barrier to applying for our jobs. All of our jobs have a model job demands checklist as well, which go over the physical and psychosocial requirements of the role. So it's worth having a look at that and seeing if there's a good match there. But if you want to expand on that one any further, feel free to give us a call, give the hiring manager a call, and we can certainly give you some advice around that particular situation. But long story short, check out our jobs, have a look at the model job demands checklist, and see if there's a good match there for you. The next question, the journalism degree includes an internship. How would that work within the cadetship? Would that have to be QPRC, or is it possible to do the internship elsewhere, Rebecca?
So in my experience, I initially took on this job because I thought I could use this job as my internship experience, but I'd been in the role longer than 12 months, which meant I couldn't. But I am working with my tutors. I still have to do that internship unit. So I'm working with my tutors at uni. And there are some courses that you can do that count as internships instead because they're more practical. So it's just about working with the tutors that you have, working with Kate here at council. She's great with helping with all that kind of stuff as well, and figuring out alternatives, because it is hard to take time off to go to do essentially another job while you're employed at council.
Great, thank you. is there any chances to do work experience in any of these areas, or is it just cadet, apprentice, and trainee work? You certainly can. Work experience is more or less open to most areas or industries that we employ within council. It does depend sometimes on operational capacity. So some areas are obviously going to be busier than others at various times of the year. Usually we can accommodate work experience applications for most areas of council. We do have a form on our careers page. So that program is administered by Joey Gemelli within the careers team. And he works with a specific area that an applicant may have expressed an interest in working to try and find somewhere suitable for a work experience placement. Generally, we've got pretty close ties and partnerships with Braewood Central School and Queanbeyan High within our region. But that doesn't mean that you can't apply for work experience anywhere else. I mean, our horticulture team have got a long track record of a really good work experience program, for example, working in that particular space. So there's no harm in putting an application in if you did want to sort of get a feel for what that area is like, perhaps before applying for a cadet, apprentice, or trainee position. So that's the questions that I've got for now. We can stick around for another minute, perhaps, if anyone wants to put any further questions in. If not, as I said, there's avenues to reach out to my team or the learning and development team, or if you've got any questions specifically about the jobs themselves, more technical questions, feel free to reach out to the presenters that you've heard from today. Alrighty, I think that's all the questions that we've got for now. So I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone for coming along. Hopefully you're feeling inspired and motivated after this webinar to throw your hat in the ring for one of our cadet, apprentice, or trainee opportunities. As I said, the fair chunk of the people that are presented today started in council in one of these opportunities previously, and they've been able to work their way up into leadership positions. Oh, we've got another question here, sorry. How about IT jobs? I got student visa at the moment, graduate applying, working a visa 148. We did have a trainee position within IT, and it's certainly something that we can look at. It's not currently available at the moment, but that's not to say that it won't be in the future. So definitely worth subscribing to our job alert so you can be the first to know when opportunities like that come out. And if not, there's always our work experience program too, if you wanted to put an expression of interest in there. Alrighty, if there's no more questions, we'll leave it there. So yeah, thanks for everyone's time. I extend that thanks to my panel as well for coming along and talking about your positions. If there's any further questions or you forget to ask something, please be reassured to reach out. All right, thanks everybody.